Reset Oculus.
Resetting Oculus.
System map.
System cartography.
External camera.
Change camera.
External camera.
Change camera.
Refugee initiative complete. Senator Caspian Leopold has announced that his appeal for commodities, in association with Neutron Corp, has been enthusiastically received by the galactic community. Hundreds of pilots supported the initiative by delivering commodities to Biruni Port, and by protecting traders in the Neutron system. A spokesperson for Senator Leopold made the following statement. Thanks to the work of many brave pilots, we can now begin construction of a rehabilitation center that will keep innocent families safe from the ravages of war. Senator Leopold hopes that this is just the beginning, and that through further acts of philanthropy he might help spread peace throughout the galaxy. Pilots who contributed to the initiative can now collect their awards from Biruni Port in the Neutron system. Aegis Installation Campaign. Aegis has announced plans to build a military installation in the Pleiades sector, IRW, D155. An Aegis spokesperson gave the following statement to the media. After the recent occupation of Socho by a hostile criminal element, it is imperative that Aegis bolster its holdings in the Pleiades sector, IRW, D155. The construction of a military installation will allow us to continue our fight against the Thargoids unhindered by external forces. Aegis Research has placed an open order for mined resources, promising to reward pilots who deliver these to the Oracle, in the Pleiades sector, IRW, D155. The organization has also placed a kill order on all ships on its wanted list, to ensure those contributing commodities to the campaign can do so safely. The campaign begins on the 21st of June 3304 and will run for 1 week. If the final target is met earlier than planned, the campaign will end immediately. Starports recover from Thargoid strikes. 3 starports attacked and damaged by Thargoid forces have now been restored to full functionality. Carter Armstrong, Chief Administrator with Aegis Corps, told the press. When we requested help to repair Thargoid-hit starports, we hoped the galactic community would be generous, but they exceeded our expectations. A colossal influx of materials has enabled us to repair 2 stations in the core systems in record time. I'm pleased to announce that Armstrong Enterprise in the Baal system, and Beaufoy Vision, in the Norni system are now open for business. Keeping these starports operable allows us to honor those who lost their lives in the Thargoid attacks. Enormous thanks to everyone who participated. Senior Engineer Lilith Galloway of Aegis Research, who coordinated a parallel project, released a similar statement. Here in the Pleiades, survival is never guaranteed. But Reed's rest in Merope has endured, thanks to the galactic community's incredible support. This is what we do when things get tough, we rebuild and come back stronger. All 3 starports are now fully operational and providing a range of services. Thargoids repelled from core systems. Aegis has confirmed that the Thargoids' presence in the core systems has been significantly diminished, due largely to the efforts of the galactic community. Admiral Aiden Tanner, Chief Military Liaison with Aegis, made this statement. This is a very positive development. Using data from our Eagle Eye network, courageous members of the galactic community have formed a barrier of steel and fire, preventing Thargoid vessels from encroaching further. In doing so, they have prevented several starports from being attacked, saving many thousands of lives. Furthermore, in many regions the Thargoid incursion has actually been reversed. Although they remain entrenched within the Pleiades, their forces in the core systems have been pushed back to the Baal system, their initial beachhead. Aegis offers its sincere thanks and congratulations to every one of the commanders who risked their lives by meeting our enemy in battle. These audacious pilots have proved that humanity's spirit is far from broken. Victory against the Thargoids will be hard won, but I am in no doubt that with defenders of this caliber, it will one day be achieved. League of Reparation agents apprehended. A homicide attempt by terrorist organization the League of Reparation has been foiled, and the would-be killers taken into custody. The arrests were made by Chief Inspector Kay Kilbride of Alliance Interpol, who is part of the United Task Force investigating the League. She released this statement. I am pleased to confirm that the latest assassination attempt by the League of Reparation has been prevented, and that we have apprehended several of the group's members. The operation involved revealing the location of one Dana Law, a descendant of INRA employee Tristan Law. We anticipated that the League would follow its modus operandi and attempt to eliminate Miss Law, so with her cooperation we placed task force agents at her home. Fortunately, they were able to overpower the terrorists. The captives have been transported to a secure Interpol facility for interrogation. Our primary aim is to establish the identity of Nexus, the entity that provides the organization's members with their instructions. I have already conducted preliminary questioning of the prisoners and have acquired some significant facts. I'm confident that this is the beginning of the end for the League of Reparation, and that the task force's efforts will soon pay off. Starport Status Update. This report presents the latest data on starports experiencing technical issues as a result of Thargoid sensor-related interference. The following starports are on the brink of closure. Investor funds Colonia shipyards. Renowned billionaire Zachary Rackham, owner of Rackham Capital Investments, has made a sizable charitable donation to build new shipyards in the Colonia region. Mr. Rackham, known in some circles as Calico Zach, made this statement. If there's one thing I remember from flying around the galaxy in a second-hand Sidewinder, with a leaky life support module, and only 50 credits in my pocket, it's the thrill of exploration. And Colonia is the embodiment of that spirit, the farthest flung outpost of civilization. That's why I want to support it by funding the development of new shipyards. Every planetary port in the region, bar Colonia Hub, will soon be able to offer pilots the support services they need. It's my way of celebrating a youth filled with poverty and danger, by giving a boost to the next generation of explorers. Brianna Blanco, a financial journalist for the Federal Times, also published a statement. Obviously this is tremendous news for Colonia and all those operating within the region. The timing of Rackham's donation is curious, however, coming as it does shortly before a company-wide audit. Having such a colossal sum placed beyond the reach of tax officials will certainly help that old pirate, and his crew of accountants, sleep better at night. Week in Review. Here are this week's major stories. Princess Aisling Duval's anti-slavery campaign has merged with independent charity Universal Liberty. The rebranded organization is named Unchain. The former head of Universal Liberty, Yael Toredo, expressed his delight at the union, while rebuffing questions about his rumored romantic attachment to Aisling Duval. Laurie Jameson has made a public statement regarding the League of Reparation, which claims to be seeking justice for her ancestor, Commander John Jameson. She denied any connection to the organization while describing its actions as misguided, unnecessary and evil. Meanwhile, an independent journalist has suggested that the League of Reparation may be responsible for many more deaths than previously suspected, drawing a link between the terrorist organization and various unsolved homicides. Chief Inspector Kay Kilbride of Alliance Interpol denied that the cold cases had any connection to the League of Reparation. A new academic article has drawn attention to a fringe religion that worships the Thargoids. The sect, which has no formal name, believes that the Thargoids are heralds of an omnipotent entity called the Far God. Dr. Alfred Ulyanov, a leading expert in exotheology, has published an extensive commentary on the sect. In other news, Senator Caspian Leopold has launched an initiative to construct a rehabilitation center for those affected by heightened military action in the core systems. A spokesperson for Senator Leopold said, "An escalation in hostilities from both the Argoid and human parties has left a lot of innocent civilians without food or shelter. Senator Leopold has heard their cries for help, and is building a sanctuary where the safety of refugees can be guaranteed." Finally, the competing campaigns from the Lathe Radio Network and the Lathe Jet family have come to an end. Both factions received support from independent pilots, to whom generous rewards were promised. But ultimately there could be only one victor. And those are the main stories this week. Laurie Jameson denounces terrorist organization. The engineer Laurie Jameson has made a public statement regarding the League of Reparation. The terrorist group claims to be seeking justice for the betrayal of her ancestor, the legendary pilot Commander John Jameson. Her message was recorded at Jameson Memorial, and broadcast by several media networks. There's been a lot of speculation about what connection I might have with the so-called League of Reparation, which has murdered a number of people in recent weeks. The answer is none whatsoever. Like all of you, I am sickened by this bizarre form of genealogical terrorism. I'm not prepared to discuss my family in a public forum, but I want everyone to know that I am personally appalled by this, and am doing everything I can to help the authorities. I'm sure that Nexus, whoever or whatever it might be, is listening to this message. So to them I say, stop. These acts of revenge for my great-grandfather are misguided, unnecessary and evil. If you really want to honor his name, you'll allow us to live in peace without fear. Senior Agent Tanya Ramirez, a member of the Tri-Power Task Force dedicated to stopping the League, added, "I can confirm that Laurie Jameson is cooperating with our investigation. We are completely satisfied that she, her family and her associates are entirely unconnected to the League of Reparation. We hope that her message convinces Nexus to see sense and stop this pointless violence." Worshipping the Thargoids. A fringe religion that worships the Thargoids has come under the spotlight in a new academic article. The author, Dr. Alfred Ulyanov, is a leading expert in exotheology. He summarized his work for the media. A recent report by Gethin Okonkwo highlighted the emergence of doomsayer cults in response to the return of the Thargoids. But few are as strange as my current object of study, an organization that considers the Thargoids to be not merely alien, but divine. This mysterious sect doesn't have a formal name. The central tenet of its faith is that the Thargoids we have encountered so far are messengers, dark angels sent to prepare us for the true sacred presence, which will soon enter our plane of existence from another universe. They refer to this as the Far God. As with many monotheistic belief structures, this cult considers the Far God to be unknowable and omnipotent, but also apocalyptic. Only true believers such as themselves will survive its manifestation. Visiting one of the cult's hive chapels is an unsettling experience. Aside from a few pulsing green lights, they are very dark, and most surfaces are covered in a black coral-like substance. The congregation's prayers are directed toward an altar resembling the starfish shape of Thargoid vessels, almost like an octagonal crucifix. It's impossible to ignore that the entire place reeks of ammonia. Cult members tend to wear simple hooded robes with no markings. They are intense and resolute, but many look unhealthy. It seems that this lifestyle attracts those on the very edge of society, whose low self-esteem leaves them vulnerable to beliefs that erode their identity. As an exotheologian, I am of course fascinated by the sociological impact of non-human influences. But even for a scientist, it is difficult not to feel pity, and perhaps a little revulsion, for those who identify more with a hostile species than with their own people. Lathe Radio Network campaign concludes. The Lathe Radio Network has announced that its campaign has reached a successful conclusion. Scores of pilots supported the initiative by delivering commodities to Lathe Station, thereby allowing the network to broadcast its annual conference to the entire galaxy. A rival campaign from the Lathe Jet family was unable to destabilize the Lathe Radio Initiative, despite also receiving the support of independent pilots. As the campaign drew to a close, one of the organizers released a statement. The signal is spreading. We would like to extend our gratitude to the galactic community for making this possible. Pilots who contributed to the initiative can now collect their rewards from Lathe Station in the Lathe system. League of Reparation implicated in historic deaths. A recent report suggests that terrorist organization the League of Reparation may be responsible for many more deaths than previously suspected. Independent journalist Flint Firemaker Lafosi shared his theories on the Rewired newsfeed. We know these League guys are wiping out people whose grandfolks used to work for the INRA, and it seems like things started when they poisoned that Imperial senator. But what if that wasn't their first murder, merely the first time they claimed responsibility? What if they've been active for years and nobody noticed? I've been digging through old records of unsolved homicides. There's a dozen in the Federation alone where the cause of death was some kind of nerve agent, just like with the Senator and a few others. Not all the victims were identified, but I found 4 who definitely had the INRA in their past. These people didn't die recently but between 1 and 5 years ago. Coincidence? The League also likes to blast its targets out of the sky. Think of all those unexplained shipwrecks found drifting in space over the years. How many were because one of the crew had some long-forgotten INRA connection? Dozens? Hundreds? How long has the League been hiding among us, silently taking out ordinary people? And who's next? Chief Inspector K. Kilbride of Alliance Interpol responded on behalf of the United Task Force investigating the League. We cannot verify that these cold cases have any link with the League of Reparation. We'd also like to caution against this kind of baseless conjecture, which only serves to spread confusion. We are still pursuing more concrete leads, and hope to make a breakthrough very soon. Refugee Center Initiative. Due to heightened military action in the core systems, Senator Caspian Leopold has launched an initiative to construct a rehabilitation center for those affected by the ongoing conflict. A spokesperson for Senator Leopold gave the following statement to the media. An escalation in hostilities from both the Argoid and human parties has left a lot of innocent civilians without food or shelter. Senator Leopold has heard their cries for help, and is building a sanctuary where the safety of refugees can be guaranteed. The Niflhel Corporation, which is overseeing the initiative, has placed an open order for cobalt, semiconductors, and synthetic fabrics, promising to reward pilots who deliver these commodities to Birani port in the Niflhel system. The organization has also placed a kill order on all ships on its wanted list, to ensure those contributing commodities to the initiative can do so safely. The campaign begins on the 14th of June 3304 and will run for 1 week. If the final target is met earlier than planned, the campaign will end immediately. Anti-slavery organizations unite. Princess Aisling Duval's anti-slavery campaign has merged with independent charity Universal Liberty. The rebonded organization is named Unchain. The former head of Universal Liberty, Jarl Toredo, made an announcement to the media. There's no shortage of poverty and suffering within the Empire, however much some may try to hide it. Few have the courage to face the truth, but Princess Duval has been an inspiration. So I'm very pleased that we're joining forces with her campaign to end slavery. I was born into slavery. My parents were still slaves when they died. It is for them, and for all human beings treated as less than human, that we demand legal slavery be abolished. I'm proud to be part of Unchain, which will spread our message across the Empire. When asked about rumors linking him romantically with Aisling Duval, Toredo said only, "I suspect Her Highness's attention is focused elsewhere." Starport status update. This report presents the latest data on starports experiencing technical issues as a result of Thargoid sensor-related interference. The following starports are currently closed: Alden Prospect, Alpha Centauri; Forbes Terminal, Algorab; Mehub, Coolisi; Thornycroft Settlement, Coolisi; Schwanport, Hadjangai. Meanwhile, the following starports are on the brink of closure: Ocranox's Orbiter, Munshine; Galileo, Sol; Craftworks, Alberta. Week in Review. Here are this week's major stories. A descendant of Amarohem, one of the UNRWA's senior members, has been murdered by terrorist group the League of Reparation. The murder recreated the circumstances of Commander John Jameson's death, and has been interpreted as an act of poetic justice by the League of Reparation. Senior Agent Tanya Ramirez said that the League was using theatrical tactics to ensure its message reached the media. In other news, Princess Aisling Duval met with not one but two of her suitors over the weekend: Federal Ambassador Jordan Rochester and Senator Caspian Leopold. The former was invited to a function at the Princess's Palace on Emerald, while the latter made an unofficial visit the following day. Meanwhile, the Lathe Radio Network has announced plans to broadcast its annual conference from the Dassault system. To ensure they can share the event with the entire galaxy, the network has placed an open order for various commodities. But the Lathe Jet family has responded with a rival campaign designed to undermine the Lathe Radio initiative, inviting pilots to deliver commodities to help in the construction of a signal jammer. Two initiatives to restore starports damaged by the have reached successful conclusions. Hundreds of pilots supported the campaigns by delivering construction materials to Dantec Enterprise in the Sertio system, and to the Oracle in the Pleiades. Finally, a valuable work of art has been stolen by a mysterious and highly skilled criminal. A spray-painted graphic of what looked like a winking cat was discovered at the scene of the crime, which took place in the Garden City Gallery on Turnus World in the Alioth system. Garden City security forces are investigating, but as yet have no leads. And those are the main stories this week. Theft baffles security experts. A valuable work of art has been stolen by a mysterious and highly skilled criminal. Took place in the Garden City Gallery on Turnus World in the Alioth system. Sergeant Fanny Abram of the Municipal Police discussed the incident. Our security specialists are currently at a loss to explain how this occurred. The piece in question was inside a titanium vault surrounded by plasma grids, proximity alarms and thermal sensors. This morning we found the vault door open and all security systems disabled. On the wall was a spray-painted graphic of what looked like a winking cat. The piece in question is a digital painting titled Viewscape. This unusual cyber artwork includes micro cameras linked to an AI node that monitor the viewer's reactions. Over time, the image alters in response to the owner's tastes. The artwork was scheduled to be auctioned the following day. The artist, Barclay Exor, told the media, "Some low-life scum has robbed the artistic community of a groundbreaking achievement, and cost me millions of credits, too. To leave common graffiti in its place is the ultimate insult." Garden City security forces are continuing to investigate, but as yet have no leads. Starport Repair Initiative concludes. The campaign by Aegis Corps to fund the refurbishment of starports in the core systems has now ended. A large quantity of construction materials were delivered to Dantec Enterprise. Carter Armstrong, chief administrator for the project, announced his thanks. "The galactic community has really pulled through for us. These materials will be put to good use in repairing the damage caused by Thargoid attacks. We'll soon have these starports restored and offering the high-quality services you'd expect." Pilots who made deliveries for this initiative can now collect their awards from Dantec Enterprise, in the Sertio system. Success for Pleiades Restoration Project. There has been a positive response to the campaign to fund repairs for starports in the Pleiades Nebula. Huge quantities of construction materials were received, which will be used to restore many of the stations damaged by the Thargoids. Senior Engineer Lilith Galloway made a statement on behalf of Ish's research. "We didn't expect so many of you to help. But that's the spirit here in the Pleiades. We come back stronger. Our thanks to everyone who supplied us with what we need. Pilots who contributed to this project can now collect their awards from the Oracle in the Pleiades sector, IRW, D155 system." Conflict in Lathe. The Lathe Radio Network, an independent organization based in the Lathe system, has announced plans to broadcast its annual conference, which this year will take place in the DESO system from the 24th to the 25th of June. To ensure they can share the event with the entire galaxy, the Lathe Radio Network has placed an open order for various commodities, and has promised to reward pilots who deliver these commodities to Lathe Station in the Lathe system. But not everyone is enthusiastic about the event. The Lathe Jet family has responded with a rival campaign expressly designed to undermine the Lathe Radio Initiative, and has invited pilots to deliver commodities to help construct a signal jammer. The two organizations have set out week-long operations to achieve their aims, which will begin on the 7th of June 3304. INRA descendant murdered. A descendant of Amarohem, one of the INRA's senior members, has been murdered by terrorist group the League of Reparation. His body was found in the wreckage of a crashed ship. Senior Agent Tanya Ramirez, part of the Tri-Superpower Task Force investigating the League, provided a full explanation at a press conference. "We have identified the deceased as Luca Hem, an unemployed construction worker living at Handman City in the Eternitas system. He was reported missing by his family 2 weeks ago. We can confirm that he was the great-grandson of Amaro Hem, who was a program coordinator with the INRA. Luca Hem's body was found strapped into an ancient Cobra Mark III, the same model flown by Commander Jameson. Forensics indicate he was still alive when the ship struck an asteroid in the Eternitas A belt. The Cobra's derelict condition suggests it wasn't traveling under its own power, and was most likely salvaged from a scrapyard specifically for this purpose. According to logs discovered at the Taylor Keep INRA facility, Amarahan was responsible for ensuring that Jameson did not return from his mission against the Thargoids. This staged murder, recreating the circumstances of Jameson's death, is obviously intended as an act of poetic justice by the League of Reparation. Luca Hem's wife and children have been taken to secure locations for their own protection, as have 9 individuals from other families related to Amaro Hem. Agent Ramirez concluded, "It's clear that the League is using theatrical tactics to ensure its message reaches the media. Our task force is working hard to discover more about this organization, and to bring these terrorists to justice." Aisling Duval hosts federal ambassador. Last weekend, Princess Aisling Duval hosted a diplomatic function, in which federal ambassador Jordan Rochester was the guest of honor. Although security at the event was tight, entertainment journalist Solomon Helios managed to obtain an exclusive insight for his program. If you're wondering what happened to your invitation to the princess's soiree, it probably ended up in the same black hole as mine. But I can still bring you a little peek from behind closed doors. It's not unusual for the imperial family to hold parties for visiting ambassadors. What is unusual is that on this occasion, Aisling invited all of Jordan Rochester's staff, including the captain and crew of his ship. Since the FNS Pioneer's commanding officer is none other than Vice Admiral Juno Rochester, one of Jordan's sisters, perhaps this was seen as an opportunity to meet a future in-law? My contacts tell me that despite the variety of uniforms, hairstyles and accents, the night was full of enjoyment. Aisling and Jordan danced together before the ambassador formally thanked the princess on behalf of the Federation. But that's not all. The next day, who should arrive at Emerald but Senator Caspian Leopold, who you'll remember is also rumored to have romantic intentions toward the People's Princess. Supposedly he's there on official business, although I understand there's nothing scheduled in his calendar. Or perhaps his invitation arrived late, like mine. So is the princess courting, or merely holding court? As always, Aisling keeps us guessing. Starport Status Update. This report presents the latest data on starports experiencing technical issues as a result of Thargoid sensor-related interference. The following starports are currently closed: Sifuri Enterprise, Hidatsa, Darwin Orbital, 82 Pegasi. Henan Vision, NLTT, 14879. Landis Orbital, Pranchal. Pirates Lament, HIP 17519. Rafferty's Mobius, Azrael. The following starports continue to experience technical issues. Schwanport, Hadjangai. Meanwhile, the following starports are on the brink of closure. Mayhub, Coolisi. Thornycroft Settlement, Coolisi. Forbes Terminal, Algarab. Woodoney Station, 79 Seti. Alden Prospect, Alpha Centauri. Week in Review. Here are this week's major stories. The Socho System, headquarters of Aegis Corps, has been overtaken by the Socho Gold Raiders, a criminal faction. The system is now in a state of anarchy. Aegis personnel, including Dr. Mia Valancourt and Professor Albert Isro, have appealed to the galactic community to help free Socho from the criminals. In related news, Aegis has announced that its Eagle Eye initiative has helped to repel Thargoid forces from systems in the Pleiades Nebula. Admiral Aidan Tanner, Aegis's chief military liaison, said that Thargoid incursions in the Walama and Laland 41 systems had been resisted due to the early warnings provided by Eagle Eye. The Pilots Federation has reported that 5 independent ships have been attacked by terrorist organization the League of Reparation, with the loss of all crew members, but the task force investigating the organization made a breakthrough when it discovered that League agents received their orders from a source codenamed Nexus. In other news, 2 campaigns have been launched to repair starports in the Pleiades Nebula that have been damaged by the Thargoids. Open orders have been placed for construction materials, which will be shipped to the affected starports and used to make repairs. Los Chupacabras have announced that their plan to host a music festival in the LFT-926 system has been enthusiastically received by the galactic community. Scores of pilots supported the initiative by delivering commodities to Meredith City, the organization's base of operations. Finally, the autocracy of Tianse has announced that its campaign to clear the Tianse system of agitators has been a success. Hundreds of pilots responded to the appeal, taking to their ships to eliminate the criminals operating in the system. And those are the main stories this week. Ships destroyed by the League of Reparation. The Pilots Federation has reported that 5 independent ships have been attacked by terrorist organization the League of Reparation, with the loss of all crew members. No details have been released regarding specific names or locations, except that 3 of the ships were attacked in Alliance-controlled systems, 1 in a federal system, and 1 in Imperial space. The Pilots Federation also confirmed that the message for Jameson had been etched by laser beam into drifting hull fragments from all 5 ships. Captain Niam Sutonia, a member of the Tri-Power Task Force investigating the League, released this statement. "We are treating these incidents as terrorist."
System map. System cartography.
Screen recording.